Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. On behalf of Hastoneest, I welcome all of you and thank you for coming. Today is a special day for a large number of attendants here. Today is the 17th of November. 17th December, sorry. 17th December. And although we've had many sessions on Maulana Rumi, we wait the whole year just for this date. It's called the Shab-e-Arus. Giving a little background of Maulana Rumi, he was born in a region near to us, not so far away, the northern Afghanistan, a province called Balkh. And whenever he's referred to in many parts of the world, the name Balkhi comes in his name. So he's sometimes Maulana Jalalu'ddin Balkhi, Maulana Jalalu'ddin Balkhi Rumi. So that has remained attached to him. And the Persian he speaks is the same Persian that's spoken in Afghanistan today. It's a variant of Persian, not the one spoken in Iran. It's called Dari. And it is considered as a Darbari Persian. So its style, its taste is different. So from there, Maulana Rumi migrated during Mongol invasions to Turkey. And he ended up in a city called Konya. So in Konya tonight, and in many other places of the world, similar commemorations take place. So Hastoneest and Maulana Rumi have a very deep connection. One of the unique characteristics of Maulana Rumi that we will have people who can recite it in Punjabi, in English, in Urdu and in Farsi. And many of his stories resonate in the rooms of this institution. So we are presenting you a couple of readings. Afira will start with a Naat. Kausar Saad will tell us a story. I'll recite a few verses, and so will Miss Ahmad. So I hope you enjoy them, and over to you, Afira. Thank you.
Thank you. एक नात है जो शब-ए-अरूस के मौके पे एक समा किया जाता है, उस पर ये पेश की जाती है. उसका मैं तर्जुमा और थोड़ा सा मैं आपको इसका सुनाऊंगी. حضرت مولانا Ya Habiba Rasuli Khalik-e Ata Tui Magzini Zul Jalali Paako bhi hum hui Maulana शम्स-ए तब्रिज़ी के दौरान नाते पेगम्बर ज़ीबर या तबीबुल Ya Wali Allah Ya Hazrat Maulana Haq Dost, یا حبیب اللہ رسول خالق یکتا توئی برگزینی ذوالجلالی پاک بھی ہم تو توئی اے حبیب اللہ خالق واحد کے رسول آپ ہیں خدائے ذوالجلال و بے ہمسر کے منتخب کردہ آپ ہیں ناز نینی حضرت حق صدر و بدر کائنات نور چشم انبیاء چشم چراغ موت ہوئی اے کائنات کے حسین مہتاب انبیاء کے آنکھ کا نور اور ہماری آنکھوں کے چراغ آپ ہیں گر شب معراج بود جبرائیل اندر رکاب پا نہادہ بر سر این گنبد خضرا توئی شب معراج پر جبرائیل رکاب میں ہی رہے اور گنبد خضرا پر قدم رکھ کے آپ آگے چلے گئے یا رسول اللہ تو دانی امتانت آجزاست رہنمائی آجزان بھی سر و پا توئی یا رسول اللہ آپ جانتے ہیں کہ ہم بے بس ہیں ہم بے سر و سامان عاجزوں کے رہنما آپ ہیں سرو بوستان رسالت نو بہار معرفت گل بنے باغ شریعت بلبل بالا توئی باغ معرفت میں سب سے بلند قد رسول آپ ہیں باغ شریعت کے گل پر سب سے بلند بلبل آپ ہیں شمس تبریزی کے دورت نعت پیغمبر زیبر مصطفیٰ مشتبہ آن سید اعلیٰ توئی شمس تبریزی کے جو نعت پیغمبر کے ماہر ہیں مصطفیٰ مشتبہ سید الاعلیٰ آپ ہیں یا طبیب القلوب یا ولی اللہ دوست دوست اے ہمارے دلوں کے طبیب اے ولی اللہ دوست دوست دوست
The next reading will be of the first 18 verses of the Masnavi. Maulana Rumi wrote two books for which he is most famous. One is Diwan-e-Kabir, Diwan-e-Shams, and one is the Masnavi. The Masnavi he described as a tafsir of the Quran. And the first 18 verses has the same status in Masnavi like the Surah Fatiha and the Quran. So it is said that many people who have mastered Masnavi, very few people have said that it takes decades for it to unravel all the mysteries of the first 18 verses. So even in your own experience, if you read it now, a month later, a year later, some other meaning will crop up. Just like when something is inspired from the Quran, that will bear some characteristic of the Quran as well. So people who have no religious background, who don't even know Maulana Rumi, it resonates with everyone. It resonates because it tells a tale of separation. That is the exact wording from these 18 verses, the tale of separation, that everybody feels that they have been separated from something, someone, somewhere in their lives. And it resonates with everyone because everyone bears some form of loss in their life, whatever it may be. So it resonates with everyone who reads it. But every person takes some subtlety, some difference in meaning. So there are many translations. We can't speak Persian, we can't understand Persian. So we rely on translation. Translation cannot be completely faithful to the original, but I'm sure the recital you will hear now is, they will try their best. These first 18 verses, another unique characteristic is that Maulana Rumi became what he became after he met one individual. And that individual is called Shams of Tabriz. Now, when Shams of Tabriz, he interacted with him, they developed a relationship as we describe it today as a peer and a murshid. Shams of Tabriz suddenly left, and for many months, or I think more than a year, they could never meet again. And it was during that time the epiphany came upon Maulana Rumi, and he came from being a scholarly cleric to a romantic poet, a poet full of passion. So that resonates in the Masnavi again and again. And this small passage I'll be reading, in somewhere it resonates here as well. So this is a story from the second book of Masnavi. How the thirsty man threw bricks from the top of the wall into the stream of water. On the bank of the stream there was a high wall, and on top of the wall a sorrowful, thirsty man. The wall hindered him from reaching the water. He was in distress for the water, like a fish. Suddenly he threw a brick into the water. The noise of the water came to his ear like spoken words. Like words spoken by a sweet and delicious friend. The noise of the water made him drunken, as though it were wine. From the pleasure of hearing the noise of the water, that sorely tried man began to hurl and tear off bricks from that place. The water was making a noise. That is to say, it was crying. Hey, what is the advantage to you of this hurling a brick at me? The thirsty man said, O water, I have two advantages. I will nowise refrain from this work. The first advantage is my hearing the noise of the water, which to thirsty men is melodious as a rabab. The noise thereof has become to me like the noise of the trumpet of Israfil. By this noise, life has been transferred, restored to one that was dead. Or it is like the noise of thunder in days of spring. From it, the thunder, the garden obtains so many lovely ornaments. Or like the days of alms to a poor man, or like the message of deliverance to a prisoner. It is like the breath of the merciful God, which without mouth comes to Muhammad from Yemen. Or it is like the scent of Ahmad, the apostle of God, which in intercession came to the sinner. Or like the scent of the beauteous, graceful Joseph, which strikes upon the soul of lean Jacob. The other advantage is that with every brick I tear off this wall, I am coming nearer to running water. Since by decreasing the bricks, the high wall becomes lower every time that one is removed. The lowness, destruction of the wall becomes a mean of access to the water. Separation from it is the remedy bringing about a union with the water. The tearing away of the adhesive, firmly joined bricks is compared to prostration in prayer. It is the cause of nearness to God, for God has said, quote, and prostrate thyself and draw near to me. So long as this wall is high-necked, lofty and proud, it is an obstacle to this bowing of the head in prayer. It is impossible to perform the prostration on the water of life until I gain deliverance from this earthly body. The more thirsty anyone on the top of the wall is, the more quickly does he tear off the bricks and turfs. The more anyone is in love with the noise of the water, the bigger clods does he tear away from the barrier. He, at the noise of the water, is filled with wine, ecstasy up to the neck, while the stranger to love hears nothing but the sound of the splash. Oh, blessed is he that deems his early days an opportunity to be seized and pays his debt. In the days when he has the power, when he has health and strength of heart and vigor, and when that season of youth, like a garden green and fresh, is bringing to ripeness produce and fruit without any stint, when the fountains of strength and lust are flowing so that thereby the soil of the body is made verdant. When he is still like a well-kept house, with its roof very lofty, its sides, walls symmetrical, without buttressing and clamps. Here the days of elderly arrive and bind your neck with a halter of palm fibers. Here the soils becomes barren, crumbling and poor. Never did good herbage grow from barren soil. When the water of strength and the water of lust is cut off, and he has no profit from himself or others, the eyebrows fallen down like a crupper strap, the eyes grown moist and dim, the face from wrinkling like the back of a lizard, speech and taste and teeth go out of use. The day late, the ass lame, and the way long, the shop ruined and the business in disorder. The roots of bad habit firmly set, and the power to tear them up decreased. Thank you. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum, everybody. First of all, I'd like to thank Kausar साहब. उन्होंने मुझे यहाँ आप लोगों के सामने मौलाना रूम रहमतुल्लाह की कुछ बातों का रिसाइट करने का मौका दिया. मैं जिस थीम के ऊपर आज मौलाना की मसनवी में से आप लोगों के सामने एक दो चीज़ें पेश करूँगा, वो एक ऐसी चीज़ है जो मुझे पर्सनली काफ़ी तंग कर रही थी. पिछले कुछ महीनों में इतनी ज़्यादा बैड न्यूज़ आती है हमारे सामने टीवी पे और सोशल मीडिया पे कि मैं काफ़ी दफ़ा डिसहार्टन्ड और डिस्करेज्ड फील करता हूँ कि जो लोग राह रास्त पे इस बात पे चलने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं, what can we do in the face of this tremendous opposition. मैं mention नहीं करूँगा because this is an occasion of joy, but you guys have an idea. आप भी वही खबरें देखते हैं. तो इस हवाले से मैं आपके सामने दो चीज़ें पेश करूँगा. एक मौलाना रूम की बुक 5 में उनकी पहली वो कहानी है, और दूसरा उनका दिबाचा है बुक 6 का, और ये मैंने रिनल्ड निकलसन की ट्रांसलेशन से पढ़ूँगा आपके लिए. और पहले लेकिन मैं आपके लिए ये जो कहानी है वो बयान करूँगा. तो जो दिबाचा है, दैट्स वेरी, इट्स मोर लाइक अ सर्मन, इट्स वेरी डायडैक्टिक इन नेचर, लेकिन कहानी जो है वो इट्स मोर इंटरेस्टिंग. तो कहानी ये है कि आप सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम के पास एक दफ़ा एक काफ़िला आया डिसबिलीवर्स का, और उन्होंने आपको कहा कि हमने आपकी काइंडनेस और आपकी जनरॉसिटी के बारे में बहुत सुना है, हम ट्रैवलर्स हैं, आप हमें कोई शेल्टर दें रात के लिए, वी हैव नोवेयर एल्स टू गो. तो प्रॉफिट सेड फाइन, ही सेड, उन्होंने अपने सहाबियों को कहा कि एवरी वन ऑफ यू टेक रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी फॉर वन of the people of this caravan. तो सारे सहाबियों ने एक एक बंदा चुन लिया उनमें से. एंड पे उनमें से एक रह गया. वो आदमी जो था वो बहुत ही ओबीस था, और मौलाना रूम कहते हैं कि ओबीसिटी में उसका कोई कंपैरिजन नहीं था किसी और का. इतना वो अगली था, ओबीस, इतना मोटा. नोबडी वांटेड टू टेक रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी ऑफ दैट मैन. वो बेचारा अकेला रह गया एंड पे. And what do you know, the Prophet, peace be upon him, rahmatul lil alameen, sallallahu alaihi wasallam ने कहा, आप मेरे मेहमान हैं. तो अब प्रॉफिट के घर 7 बकरियों का दूध निकाल के ना वो खाने के लिए उन्होंने रखा हुआ था. जब खाने का टाइम आया, वो जो आदमी था उसने सबका पोर्शन खा लिया, रोटी भी खा ली, दूध भी 7 बकरियों का वो खुद पी गया. अच्छा, वो बड़ा खुश. लेकिन जो प्रॉफिट का हाउस होल्ड था, देवर व्हाट इज़ दिस, कि ये आके हमारा एक तो मेहमान आया और ये इतना फ्री हो गया, ऐसे सब कुछ ही खा लिया. तो देवर वेरी एंग्री विद हिम. तो रात को जब वो सोने गया ना, तो उनकी प्रॉफिट की एक मेड को एक शरारत सूझी, उसने उसका दरवाज़ा लॉक कर दिया. अब ऑब्वियसली व्हेन यू ईटन सो मच, तो आपको रात यू नीड टू गो टू द बाथरूम, एंड सो दिस मैन वेक्स अप in the middle of the night and he really has to go, और वो दरवाज़ा खोलने की कोशिश करता है, वो उससे नहीं खुलता. ही इज़ अ वेरी क्लेवर मैन, तो उसको जितनी भी तरकीबें आती हैं, जितनी भी उसको चालाकियाँ आती हैं, वो उनको अप्लाई करता है, दरवाज़ा खोलने की कोशिश करता है, वो नहीं खुलता। अब वो मैं क्या करूँ? तो ही क्रीप्स बैक टू बेड और वो सो जाता है, एंड इन द नाइट ही सॉइल्स हिमसेल्फ। एंड दिस इज़ वन ऑफ द थिंग्स आई लव अबाउट रूमी, कि ही इज़ नॉट अफ्रेड ऑफ, ही जो वो बातें आपको लगता है कि इतना बड़ा वलीउल्लाह और वो ही इज़ टॉकिंग अबाउट अ पर्सन सॉइलिंग हिमसेल्फ, लेकिन उसमें भी ही फाइंड्स स्पिरिचुअल विजडम एंड जेम्स। दिस इज़ द ब्यूटी ऑफ इट, कि आपको वो हर चीज़ से एक कोई पॉजिटिव मैसेज वो निकाल लेते हैं। एनीवे, इन द मीन टाइम द प्रॉफिट, उनको ये ऑल ऑफ दिस इज़ हैपनिंग बाय डिवाइन डिक्री, एंड द प्रॉफिट न्यू अबाउट हिज स्टेट दैन, लेकिन उनको ऊपर से और वो ये वही आई थी कि अभी इसके लिए दरवाज़ा ना खोलो, ही नीड्स टू गो थ्रू दिस डिसग्रेस, दिस इज़ बेनिफिशियल फॉर हिम। लेकिन जब ये सब सारा वाक़या होता है, दिस मैन हैज़ सॉइल्ड हिमसेल्फ, द प्रॉफिट डिस्क्रीटली ओपन्स द डोर। अब जब वो आदमी जागता है, वो देखता है व्हाट हैव आई डन, लोग क्या कहेंगे, तो वो कहता है मैं यहाँ से भागूँ, वो अपने गंदे कपड़े वहीं छोड़ के नए कपड़े पहन के, ही फाइंड्स द डोर ओपन एंड ही रन्स अवे। So the next day, Maulana Rumi uses the phrase, according to Nicholson's translation, a meddlesome fellow brings the clothes, the soiled clothes of this man to the Prophet. And he says, look, जिसको आपने guest बनाया था उसने क्या किया? And now what does the Prophet do? He says, ये इधर तो, let me wash them. Bring me a pail of water, I will wash them. And now the man is, he says, नहीं मेरा आपको बताने का ये मकसद नहीं था कि आप धोएं, I was just, but the Prophet says, no, this has come from divine decree, I must wash them. And so they bring him a pail of water, and the Prophet, peace be upon him, starts washing the filth of this man with his own hands. This is why he's Rahmatul lil Alameen. So this man, he's run away, and when he's a fair distance, he suddenly realizes उसके पास एक amulet है, उसके लिए बहुत अजीज़ है, और वो पीछे भूल गया है। और अब अपनी उस ग्रीड के अंदर, फॉर दैट एम्यूलेट, ही फॉरगेट्स ऑल अबाउट द शेम एंड द डिसग्रेस, ही जस्ट वांट्स दैट एम्यूलेट। अब उसका एक वो सिंगल ट्रैक टनल विजन हो गया कि मुझे वो एम्यूलेट चाहिए। एंड सो ही रशेस बैक, एंड व्हेन ही रशेस बैक, व्हेन ही गेट्स देयर, व्हाट डज ही सी बिफोर हिम? ही सीज द मर्सी टू द वर्ल्ड्स वॉशिंग द फिल्थ ऑफ हिज क्लोथ्स। एंड व्हेन ही सीज दिस, he becomes overwhelmed by emotion. And he starts weeping and tearing his clothes out and hitting himself कि मैंने क्या किया और उन्होंने क्या किया आगे से. And at once he says, La ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He says the kalma and he becomes a Muslim. And that night, again, he is a guest of the Prophet. And they bring him a glass of goat's milk. And again, the household isn't happy कि फिर आ गया है, फिर खाना मारे भूखे सोए फिर. He drinks that one glass. And they offer him more. He says, no, I'm full. And so the household of the Prophet, they ask him, what is up? What's happening? कि ये अभी कल ये 7 बकरियों के उससे नहीं satisfy हो रहा था, आज ये एक glass से he's satisfied. And the Prophet says कि जो कुफर होता है उसको वो 7 पेटों में खाना खाता है, और जो मोमिन होता है उसका सिर्फ एक पेट होता है. He just that one is sufficient. So this was the story that I wanted to share. And following the theme, I want to just read a bit of the introduction to book 6 of the Masnavi, which is the final book. And so this is following the same theme about what can the good people do when there is so much evil and darkness around you. So he says, love has nothing to do with the 5 senses and the 6 directions. Love has nothing to do with the 5 senses and the 6 directions. Its goal is only to experience the attraction exerted by the beloved. Afterwards, maybe permission will come from God. The secrets that ought to be told will be told with an eloquence that is nearer to the understanding than these subtle allusions. The command to call the people to God comes down from the Maker. What has the prophet or saint to do with their acceptance or non-acceptance? So of the prophethood is ended, but if for people over here, anybody aspires to saintliness, then you can't worry about कि यार लोग मानेंगे नहीं, कोई फर्क पड़ेगा नहीं पड़ेगा, मैं क्या. And then he gives the best example. He says, Noah continued to call the people to God for 900 years. The unbelief of his folk was increasing from moment to moment. Did he ever pull back the rein of speech? Did he ever creep into the cave of silence? No. He said to himself, and now these are the words of Noah, peace be upon him. He said to himself, does a caravan ever turn back from a journey on account of the noise and clamor of dogs? And he's continuing. Or on a night of moonlight, is the running of the full moon in its course retarded by the dog's outcry? The moon sheds light and the dog barks. Everyone proceeds according to his nature. The divine destiny has allotted to everyone a certain service suitable to his nature, to be performed in the way of probation. Since the dog will not leave off his pestilent howling, I, who am the moon, how should I abandon my course? Since the dog will not leave off his pestilent howling, I, who am the moon, how should I abandon my course? So these are the words of Noah, peace be upon him. And then he continues, he says, inasmuch as the vinegar increases acidity, therefore it is necessary to increase the sugar. Wrath is like vinegar, mercy like honey, and these two are the basis of every oxymel. So oxymel was a concoction they used to take to, or maybe they still do, for a cough. It clears your air passages. And it's made of honey and vinegar. So they are both required for it to work. If honey fail to withstand the vinegar, the oxymel will be spoiled. The people were pouring vinegar on Noah, and the ocean of divine bounty was pouring more sugar for Noah. His sugar was replenished from the sea of bounty. Therefore, it was exceeding the vinegar of all the inhabitants of the world. Who is a single one like 1,000? That saint, nay, that high servant of God is equivalent to 100 generations. Though the snakes are scattering venom, and though the sour people are making us distressed, and I'll conclude with this couplet, though the snakes are scattering venom, and though the sour people are making us distressed, yet in mountain and hive and tree, the bees are depositing a sugar store of honey. Thank you very much.